Hello, grade sixes. I'm Lauren from the prep room. I'm sure you've seen me before. I'm going to be showing you the prac on mystery powders. It should be in your book, your CSI book. And I want you to be opened up on the page with the table, and there's 4 columns, and you've got powders down the side, and at the top you've got appearance, texture, reaction to water, pH, reaction to vinegar, and iodine. That's the page that you want. All right, so what I'm going to be showing you is a range of powders and how they react to 3 different reagents. So the way this prac works is I have this well plate, and I'm going to fill each well with a sample of each powder, and then I'm going to test each powder with the 3 different reagents. So we got the iodine solution. Oh, it's a terrible label, sorry. Universal indicator, which tests the pH, and vinegar, which is going to do things to each powder, or maybe not do things. I don't know, we'll find out. Okay, so we'll start testing. Make sure you have your table out, and we're going to go through each thing, and you need to write down the results that you're observing. So the first powder we're going to be testing is starch. Now the first thing we're going to look at is just the appearance of the starch. So I'm going to put some down here. And you basically want to look at the texture of it. Like, what does it look like to you? It's kind of hard when you're not there, but I mean, it's kind of clumpy, right? Looks fine. I don't know. You can use your own adjectives. But describe this texture as you see it. Alrighty, so we have our well plate. First powder we're testing is starch. So I'm going to put some starch in each well. Great. Make sure we're looking at starch. Now, the first one we're going to test is reaction to water, or pH. So I'm just going to, this is just some water. I'm going to dissolve it in there. So they're not actually looking at a reaction in the water. It's more just the water is there to help dissolve it. So we can see the color of the pH clearer. So now I'm going to add some universal indicator. 1 drop. All right, so starch. Oh, look at that. It kind of matches my table. So you want to match up the color to the pH chart. So which pH do you think starch is at? You can write that result down yourself. All right. So this is still starch. These are all starch. We're going to test it with some iodine next. What's going to happen with the iodine? Oh, whoa. Okay. So I'm just going to show you what iodine looks like by itself. There you go. So that's what iodine looks like. And this is what has happened when we mix it with starch. Is there a reaction there? Write down your observations. Okay, so that's iodine. And now we'll do vinegar. Let's see if anything happens when we mix it with vinegar. Oops. Not much. It kind of just dissolved. Okay, great. So we've got green in the pH scale. What pH was that? There's a reaction to iodine. Clearly something has happened. What are you observing? Is there a color change? And reaction to vinegar, not really anything. Okay. All right, so the next powder we're going to be looking at is flour. Now, I'm assuming you have flour in your home, or you have seen some before, but basically in the appearance section, you need to go look at some flour and write down the appearance and texture, because I'm assuming you have some in your home. All right, let's get testing. I'm going to put some flour in 3 of the wells like we did before. Now, first one, let's put some water in there. Dissolve it in water. Great. Universal indicator, testing the pH. Ooh. All right. It's kind of orangey. All right. So please use your own discernment to decide which pH the flower is. What do you reckon? Write that down in your table. All right. The next one, we'll do reaction to vinegar. Sorry, the first one I got around the other way, but whatever. All right. Anything? No. Nothing. It just looks like water. Okay? Make your own observations about that one. And the last one, reaction to iodine. Now remember, the iodine looks like that. So you can write that down in your observations. Iodine is like a yellowy brown liquid. But when you mix it with certain things, oh, look at that. It did the same thing that it did with the starch. So that's clearly a reaction. Very different. Write down what you see. I'm going to wash this and we'll get to the next powder. Alrighty, so the next powder is sodium bicarbonate, or on your table it says baking soda. So there it is, baking soda. Oh, I'll show you the appearance first. What color is that? It's clearly red. All right, so there is some baking soda. I'll bring the camera closer. There you go. Okay, so it clearly looks a bit different to, what did we look at? Starch. It looks a bit more grainy. Not as clumpy. But yeah, write down what you think in the appearance. And now we're back to test it. Okay, so we're going to do baking soda. And here is some I've prepared earlier. Okay, so the first one, we're going to add some water to dissolve it. And universal indicator, let's test the pH. Okay. So that's a pretty color that we haven't had before. Which pH do you think that's at? Make your own decision. Okay. All right, now we're going to do reaction to vinegar. This is baking soda. I might just bring it a bit closer. Okay. That was definitely a reaction. What just happened? Write that down. That was baking soda with vinegar. Okay, now this one we're going to put some iodine solution. Remember, it's orange, yellow by itself. We'll mix it with baking soda. Also yellow. Okay. So that was baking soda. Next, we're going to do sugar. All right. So the first thing you want to do is go look at some sugar in your house. I'm assuming you have sugar in your house. What's the texture, appearance? Fill that out. And then we'll get to testing. Let's do sugar. Ta-da! Okay. Let's dissolve some in some water. Universal indicator. Let's test the pH. I love how it dissolves. All right. Might just let that dissolve for a bit. This one, let's test with vinegar. Reaction to vinegar. Nothing. Okay, and iodine. So remember, iodine is yellow. Let's put some on the sugar. Not much change. And the pH. Where do you think the pH stands? pH of sugar. Okay, next. Okay, so we're going to test some table salt. Now again, I bet you have table salt in your house. This is a part you can do at home. Go look at it. Go look at it real close. What do the grains look like? What shape are they? I'm pretty sure they're a different shape to sugar. Can you tell the difference? Can you write that down in words and adjectives? Good luck. Okay. So the first thing is dissolve it in some water. Universal indicator. pH. What does it look like? pH of salt. Next one, test some salt with some vinegar. Is there a reaction? No, doesn't look like it. Iodine. Does salt react with iodine? No, negligible. Cool. Let's move on. Citric acid is next. Okay, we're going to do citric acid now. I'm going to show you this because I'm assuming not everyone has this in their house. I'll put it down here. All right, it's pretty chunky, pretty granular. Looks like little crystals. What shape are those crystals? Can you tell? They're kind of squarish. A bit like salt, but massive. All right, so that's citric acid appearance. Now let's do the testing with the reagents. Let's go. So if you know anything about pH, it's a measure of how acidic something is or how alkaline something is. If something is more acidic, it is below 7. If something is alkaline, it's above 7. 7 is neutral. So you don't have to remember this, but just, you know, the name citric acid. If something's more acidic, it's below 7. So what color do you think universal indicator is going to make the citric acid? Have a guess before I do it. Just in your head is fine. Let's check. Whoa! Okay. So, that's a pretty obvious result. Citric acid. Now we'll do vinegar. No reaction. Iodine. Nothing. Write down your results. Okay, so these are the soap flakes. Can you describe their appearance? Kind of look flaky and thin. So put that in the appearance box. And then we'll test it with some reagents. Get some soap flakes in there. All right. So the first one, we're going to dissolve in some water. I'll let that dissolve for a bit. Let's try the vinegar. Nothing. And let's try the iodine. Also nothing. Add some universal indicator. Test the pH. What pH do you think that is? Thanks for watching grade 6s. I hope you filled out your entire table. Make sure you put as many words as you possibly can, because when you are trying to solve your crime, you're going to refer to this table and you want it to be detailed to help yourself. Your future self will thank you.